Cowlin. Fan cams. Club news. Transfer news. Match previews. Legend interviews. Spurs winning. Press conferences. Covering everything Tottenham and England.
Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another edition of the Spurs Chat podcast. In this edition, we'll be talking about a big win. Tottenham Hotspur 4, Everton 0, Spurs up to third in the Premier League table. Now, we're live on YouTube, live on X and also on Facebook, so please do get involved. Let us know how you are feeling as a Spurs fan right now and what you made of that performance at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium today. As per usual, I've got three very special guests with me to talk about today's win. Back with us is channel regular Craig Dearman. Craig, how are you?
Oh, good, Chris. Yeah, convincing win. Really good to see going into the couple of tougher games that you'd expect we're going to have either side of the international break. So, yeah, good performance. I know we'll get into it, but very happy bunny today.
Also back with us is channel regular and best-selling author Kimberley Chambers. Kim, great to have you here. How are you?
I'm all right, thanks, Chris. Been on a bit of a health kick like you am, but I'm feeling a bit better than I was at the Monday night, put it that way, after that second half. So, yeah, happy with the result.
We will get into it. And also back with us is channel regular Johnny Bowe, of course, radio presenter at Dublin's 102. Johnny, how are you? You're live from Portugal.
Live from Villamoura in the Algarve. Oh, it's fantastic. 31 Celsius. I was going to do it from the balcony, but it's a little noisy, Chris, and it'd be disrespectful to the fans and to you. So a lot of people screaming in the swimming pool. I just came indoors for a few minutes.
Well, great to have three of you here. And, of course, we are all smiling because Spurs have just won 4-0 at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Now, of course, Spurs went 1-0 up after Bissouma's incredible strike after 14 minutes. Heung-min Son doubled Tottenham's lead after 25 minutes. Romero with a great header from a Maddison corner in the 71st minute. And then Heung-min Son rounded things up in the 77th minute. Assist today from Dejan Kulusevski, James Maddison, and an excellent one from Mickey van der Ven. Now, let's go through the match facts and stats. Spurs had 70.9% of the ball to Everton's 29.1%. Shots, Spurs had 13 to Everton's 10. Shots on target, Spurs had 7 to Everton's 1. Shots off target, Spurs had 5 to Everton's 3. And block shots, Spurs had 1 to Everton's 6. Now, touches in the opposition box, Spurs had 33 to Everton's 25. Goalkeeper saves, Everton 3, Spurs 1. Aerial duels 1, Spurs 10, Everton 14. Fouls, Spurs 11, Everton 15. And corners, Spurs 12, Everton 5. Now, as I've just mentioned, Spurs are up to the third in the Premier League table. Not that it means anything at this stage after just 2 games. Man City lead the way, obviously. Current champion, 6 points from 2 games. Brighton in second, 6 points from 2 games. And Spurs in third, 4 points from 2 games. And Nottingham Forest also 4 points from 2 games. Craig, let's start the show with you. Thoughts on today's win?
Yeah, I just thought it was a convincing display. Everton didn't really look at the races. They're a pretty poor side from what I've seen so far this season, to be fair. And if we didn't get a result today, then I would have been a bit worried and concerned, to be honest with you. But I think we dominated from start to finish. Obviously, in football, you can't control the whole game all the time. Everton did have a few chances. But on the whole, and possession will show that we controlled that game again today. Obviously, couldn't get over the line on Monday night v Leicester, but really took control of the game today. And I just thought it was a great performance from most of the players out there, and the subs that come on played well as well. So yeah, just a really good all-round team performance today, I think.
Are you getting carried away at this stage, Craig? Because I think a lot of people were very disappointed after Monday night. I think this is a game that a lot of people expected Spurs to win, but it is fair to say that we've got a couple of very tough games coming up away at Newcastle and at home against Arsenal, which of course we'll come to later on in the show. But how are you feeling right now?
A lot better than, as Kim said, a lot better than after Monday, because that's a game we should have won. There was a bit of a meltdown from fans on X, and I get that. Totally, you know, that's a game we should be winning. And if we've got any thoughts on finishing high up in the table. Those are the sort of games we should be winning. But as I said before, we drew against Brentford first game last season. We drew this season, and we've had a convincing display. Obviously, we had the 2-0 against Manchester United this time last year, the second game. Some would say we got a bit lucky in that, but I don't think we got lucky today. I don't think anybody would say that. I thought that was a convincing performance. 4 goals. Goal difference looking good already. As you say, fledgling table. You can't even look at the table till after 8, 9, 10 games. So, but look, you can only beat what's in front of you. The old cliche, and we did today. Good performance, and that bodes well going into Newcastle, of course.
Kim, let's come to you. Let's get your thoughts on today's win.
I think the goal difference was important, like making it a sort of flattering score, because I was really disappointed the other night with that second half performance. I mean, like every other day, and I think, the beginning of the season, you got a clean slate. You really was so looking forward to the game all day, and then when we just fell to pieces in the second half. So I just thought same old. What do you say? But obviously flattering. I mean, when I saw Everton had a lot of players out before the game, and they were, I didn't think it was going to be a tough game. I think we'll be able to tell more. It's still good to get the 4 goals and get some goal difference, but I think we'll be able to tell more with next week's game. If I'm honest, how far we've come. If at all, do you know what I mean? As we got obviously the 2 tough games coming up, so let's see how we get on next weekend. But it was good to get the win and sort of the points under the belt, and we'll see what next week brings.
Kim, from what you've seen in pre-season so far, and of course on Monday evening, and of course today's win, I think it was expected by a lot, not only Spurs fans but a lot of pundits as well, because it's fair to say, and to put balance on it, Everton only had 14 recognised first-team players in the squad today. They've got a lot of injury problems, so I think a lot of people expected today's win. But how are you feeling overall as a Spurs fan? Are you feeling optimistic ahead of this season?
Not overly, if I'm honest. I've got to be honest. I mean, the worrying thing I found in the pre-season games, I watched every one of them. I thought we looked far better in the second half of every game when we'd taken most of the first team off, when we had the youngsters on. I think they were the ones that shone a lot of the youngsters in the pre-season, and that was when we seemed to get more of the goals and everything else. I mean, I'm not saying our first team is poor. I don't really know what to expect this season, but I wouldn't say I'm I think we're going to do marvels or anything. Perhaps a good cup run. I don't know. I really don't know. But I did think a lot of the kids took their chances in the likes of Lancashire and that. I mean, I watched the youngsters again the other night. He's got a screamer there. So did Mikey Moore. I do think these youngsters could be ready to be on the bench for us now. Especially those 2. Obviously, Jamie Donnelly's gone off to Leighton Orient. I think it's exciting what we've got coming through. We really have got some, some strength in, which should be some strength in depth for time. But some of these may be ready now, I think, to sit on the bench. I don't see the point if you're good enough. I mean, it's like Mikey Moore. I know he's only very young, but I mean, Rooney was very young when he came through. And he didn't look out of place like against the men in those games. I know, he's young, but he's not easily pushed off the ball, I think these lads, and Will Lancashire's like an old-fashioned kind of, he could just score from any position, in the box, out the box. He reminds me of, I don't know, your Clive Allen type or something from years ago, the old-fashioned. But no, I mean, it's exciting what we've got coming through, but I think we may need to, not rely on them, but give them a chance sooner rather than later. Because some of the first team, I don't know whether they're going to be doing it, do you know?
Johnny, let's come to you. Let's get your thoughts on today's 4-0 win.
Well, there were lots of positives, Chris. First thing was we didn't concede any goals. I think last in 15 home games last season, we conceded in all those games. And if we can continue, we've only conceded 1 goal in the 2 games, and we shouldn't have really conceded in the Leicester game. But maybe they're getting better. I mean, I know Everton aren't a great side. They conceded 3 goals in their first opening games. That's 7 goals they conceded. But still, we put them to bed. And what about Bissouma after the controversy of his nightclub actions and all that sort of stuff? He's put it behind him. I think the manager did the right thing in dropping him, suspending him for that game. It seems to have worked. I mean, James Maddison already in the post-match interview with the BBC has described him as ridiculous in training, how he trains and how good he is and the goals he scored. And that goal he scored, and you saw the crowds, the lift they got with that goal. And I think people are very sympathetic for players like that when they do something maybe off the pitch they shouldn't be doing, and then they come back and they show that they've worked hard in training and scored the goal. And that's what he did. That's all you can ask for. And also we've a couple of 18-year-old players. Like, they are the future of the club. We can't keep relying on 31, 32, 33-year-olds. They're getting older. But it's great to see a couple of 18-year-olds being introduced into the squad. So there's a lot of positives today, and it's given us all a lift. And I love watching Spurs like that. When's the last time we won 4-0? Son, the last time he scored 2 goals in one game, I think, was September 2023. So that's going to give him a lot of confidence.
Craig, let's come to you. Johnny talks there about a lot of positives today, which I completely agree. One huge positive today was the debut of Wilson Odobert. What did you think of him?
I thought he was really good today. Different type of player to what we've got. I mean, I know Son's a dribbler, but Odobert really is a nippy, quick dribbler, attacking players, all thoughts going forward, not back. I think he didn't do too much when, overplaying. I thought he released the ball when he needed to. I just thought it was a really good debut from him. Quite impressed, actually, to be fair. Just looked like he'd been playing in this Spurs team for months, to be fair. And that's going to bode well for the future as he learns the system, learns the plays and where he needs to be and stuff like that. So yeah, I wasn't that surprised to see him start, to be honest. I was expecting him to start. Some through the middle. It was a very attacking lineup. I'm sure we'll come on to the lineups, but it was a very attacking lineup. Actually, I wasn't quite sure what the system was, and I'm still not entirely sure myself. But yeah, superb debut from Odobert. I think he's going to be a big player for us this season.
Kim, let's come to you. Let's talk about the starting 11. Of course, Ange Postecoglou made 3 changes today against Everton at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Odobert coming in for his debut, Bissouma also coming in, and Kulusevski in the starting 11. So the starting 11 was as follows: Vicario, Porro, Romero, Van der Ven, Udogie, Maddison, Bissouma, Kulusevski, Johnson, Son and Odobert. And the subs today: Forster, Spence, Davis, Dragushin, Gray, Sarr, Bergvall, Timo Werner and Richarlison. What did you make of the changes that Ange Postecoglou made today?
Yeah, I mean, I thought he'd bring Bissouma back in. I mean, you can only punish someone for some long. I know what he done was silly, but it was nothing overly major. Do you know what I mean? I mean, a lot of other clubs, especially the one down the road, players have done worse, and they've not even got a scolding. So, not like to mention them, but just saying as you do, But yeah, I mean, I've been very impressed with Bergvall in pre-season as well. I think he did brilliantly. Gray as well, I think it's a great addition, and it was good to see those come on late. But yeah, I think overall I was very impressed with the new winger as well. I didn't know what to expect. Unlike Craig, I didn't know if he'd start today, So I was pleased to see him start and sort of, I mean, he didn't look phased, but by the start or anything, he, I think he did really well, in the first half, especially faded a bit towards the end, but I think he was really good. But I mean, overall, it was. Yeah, as I said, I wasn't too sure about the winger, but overall, I was glad Kulu was back in the side because I think we missed him against Leicester, and he's played extremely well. He was another one that quite shone in pre-season. He played some very good football. So I was surprised when he didn't start him on Monday night, if I'm honest.
Kim, why do you think that Kulusevski didn't play on Monday? That was a bit of a shock because he's had a great pre-season.
I don't know. I'd much rather him play, to be honest, than Johnson on Monday night. I think Johnson, for me, at the moment, and, obviously there's room for improvement there, but for me, he's more of an impact sub at the moment. I think he is someone that does well when he comes on from the bench, and can come on with fresh legs and that. But I sometimes don't see it with him from the start at the moment, Whereas Kulusevski, I don't know why he never started with him Monday night. I'd have expected Johnson to be on the bench and Kulu start on Monday, would you?
It'd be interesting. Of course, we face Newcastle up next Sunday. That's going to be an interesting one. We'll talk about that at the end of the show. Johnny, let's come to you. Let's talk a little bit about the starting 11 because, as I mentioned, Postecoglou made 3 changes today. Were you surprised to see Wilson Odobert straight in? Because normally Ange Postecoglou gives that chance from the bench, but this time straight in the starting 11.
And I think it's the right decision, to be honest. I think we just got to start putting players in quickly instead of just easing them in. You know, we need to pick up points. I think last season we started poorly and maybe in the first game and then won 8 on the row. And I think I can see that actually happening. Now, I know the Newcastle and Arsenal games will be tough. There's no doubt about that. But we could go on a run. And if we can play in that attacking way, and if Ange Postecoglou is sort of going to give certain players more starting opportunities from the bench, I think that's a positive, really. I have to say Maddison was great in the second half because he faded off in the second half of the first game, had a great first half, made the goal, and then all of a sudden kind of faded off. So he seems to, maybe he was carrying an injury still, I don't know, but he seems to be a lot fitter today, and he was really giving it loads in the second half as well. And I'm all for Ange giving the younger players. I mean, I don't think Johnson, and I did say in a video on Twitter during the week, I don't think he's as good as what Dele Alli was at this stage. However, you know, players can improve, and if they have a good coach there, they will get better. So we just have to keep our fingers crossed and hope for the best. But look, it's an attacking Spurs side. That's the DNA we were all going on about for the last couple of years that wasn't there in previous teams. So this is what we're looking at, and it's a positive sign. And a couple of the comments that have come in, Chris, just some people are just saying it's great to see 4 happy smiling faces. So that's good.
Absolutely. Johnny, who is your man of the match today?
I would. Well, I know Maddison did come off near the end, but I'd nearly say Bissouma. Just because of the goal and the fact that he had the problems in the. I mean, he did play well. I mean, did have a good game. So I'd say Maddison or Bissouma for me.
What about you, Craig? Who would you give the man of the match to? Because I feel like there were so many decent individual performances today.
Yeah, really difficult actually to single anybody out. Totally agree with what Johnny said. I mean, Bissouma coming back after obviously he's been embarrassed by what he done. He was embarrassed himself by what he done. Coming on, putting on a performance like that. Sometimes players come back and don't show that passion, but he was everywhere today, all over the pitch, making interceptions, key passes, and obviously scored a cracking goal. So he did play well, as that you said there. Romero, Van de Ven, I thought was outstanding today. There was a bit of a worry when he went down. I thought, the hyperextension of the knee, seeing the ACL go when he does that, but obviously he just jarred it. So thank God for that. A few players today quite rightly claim that man of the match, but probably for me, clean sheet. I think Van de Ven just edges it for me. I thought he was brilliant today, and he wins it for me with that run he went on to put through Son for his second goal. I just thought he was brilliant. Any worries about him being injured? Wow, the speed he went up the pitch for that was unbelievable. But yeah, a lot of players today could have took the man of the match award, definitely.
For me personally, I think that I would go with Mickey Van de Ven. Ange Postecoglou in his press conference just said he is an outstanding footballer. He is a very, he's a pretty special footballer. That is exactly how he's described him. Kim, let's come to you. After 2 minutes of the game, a nice early cross from James Maddison that was cleared. The guys have already spoken a little bit about James Maddison there. It's a big season for him this year, isn't it? Because, of course, he played those opening 10 games of the season that we were unbeaten last year. Then he got the injury against Chelsea, spent a little bit of time out, came back, wasn't quite the same, missed the place in the England squad at the Euros. I feel like this is a huge opportunity for him to shine again.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, he was immense that beginning of last season. He really was. Like, he was just fantastic. And yeah, it caught the injury, wasn't quite the same when he came back. So yeah, it's a massive season for him to get back to his best. And we know what he can do. We saw it at the beginning of last season. You know, he was fantastic. Like, you know, everyone was saying, weren't they? God, signing of the season. And had he not gone injured, he probably would have gone on to be that. You know, but yeah, I'm sure that he's got a point to prove after being left out of the England squad, and you know, he's definitely. You know, the fans love him. He's got a good character with him, and I'm sure. Yeah, I mean, let's just hope like he stays injury free this time round for a bit, and well, for the whole of the season if possible. And yeah, we know what he can do. Let's just see him do it again now. Be great.
Johnny, let's come to you. A minute later, Christian Romero had a chance, shot straight at Jordan Pickford, who made the save. Are you surprised by how many chances in this Ange Postecoglou team that the defenders are getting? Mickey van der Ven, of course, in the second half, surging forward, assisting Heung-min Son, that we'll talk about in a little bit. But, you know, the way that we see Pedro Porro, Udogie get forward a lot, Romero having chances. Of course, he got a goal again today. Are you surprised by how many times the defence are getting forward? Craig, do you want to take this one?
No, not in this system, actually, to be honest with you, because Ange obviously sees everybody in an attacking position, doesn't he? He doesn't care who. Well, he looks like he doesn't care. I'm sure there's tried and trusted formation and passages of play. But like you say, Mickey van der Ven, Romero just flying up the pitch. It's no surprise to me because Ange is all about attack, isn't he? So I think it's brilliant. I've always said centre forward should be the one that gets goals, but I don't think any of us really care where the goals come from. And it just goes to show, we saw Mickey with that thunderbolt last year. Romero was the highest scoring defender in the Premier League last season. So that speaks volumes, doesn't it? Pedro Porro comes up with a few goals. I think that Udogie will get a few goals this season as well. So we can score from all over the park. It's got to be a good thing, as long as obviously there's players falling back to protect the areas that they've vacated, because we will get hit on the break a couple of times, no doubt. But I think it's brilliant to see, yeah.
Johnny, let's come round to you. Ange Postecoglou on the transfer window. He's just come out and said this in the press conference. I think we have spent wisely. The players that we have brought in are going to be fantastic for this football club. We will see about more deals. There are still a couple of days left, but we will look to move a couple of players on. We will stay alert. Now, having seen what you've seen in the opening 2 games and, of course, in pre-season, we've got 6 days left of the transfer window. What would you like to see happen in the next 6 days in terms of incomings?
I would probably like to see another striker come in, just in case the Solanke injury does develop into something else. And also the fact that I don't think Richarlison is prolific in front of goal, although he is a good striker, there's no doubt about that. And I'm glad that he showed that he wanted to stay and fight for his place. I think somebody in the strike force, it will be no harm to bring somebody in just to give us that option should anything else happen. And of course, you need more creative players, possibly in the midfield too. We can never say no to that. And if in turn we can bring in one more central defender or even a left back, be no harm to do that as well. But I did lose. I'm on hotel Wi-Fi here, and the reception's not fantastic. So just in case it does go, just in relation to the other question you were saying, when Ange was managing Celtic, all the players inputted into the goals. That's why we're seeing here in the Spurs team that a lot of players are just scoring from all different parts of the park. Defence, midfield, strikers, and that's and the players he's buying are players that can score. They can score from outside the box. They can score in the box, and defenders can come forward. Now, the only thing about that is I think our Achilles heel at the moment is that we're not great against physical sides who can cross the ball in, Chris. You know yourself, like when we play Arsenal, for example, they're going to be doing a lot of set pieces. And I think that is the weakness of ours at the moment. If we can improve on that and bring in players who may be able to help in that, then I'm all for that. So 6 days, my main concern would be the strike force. So I would probably bring in a striker. But not everyone's going to agree with that.
Kim, let's come to you. Let's go back to the game. After 5 minutes, Odobert crossed in after some good skill. It was then cleared. A minute later, Heung-min Son had a shot on target, it deflected. Pickford made the save. After 11 minutes, James Maddison had a chance. Pickford saved again. Shortly after, Brennan Johnson had an opportunity. He missed. Now, with Brennan Johnson, do you think Ange Postecoglou can get the very best out of Brennan Johnson, Kim? Because he was, I think it's fair to say, heavily criticised against Leicester on Monday. Even in the hundreds and thousands of comments coming in on this stream at the moment live on YouTube, there is a lot of criticism for Brennan Johnson. Do you think that Ange can get the best out of Johnson going forward?
I'm not sure. As I said, for me, he's more of an impact sub at the moment. I mean, can he get better? I don't know. I don't know. I mean, he didn't have a bad first season. It was nothing like spectacular. This season's going to be as big a season for him as what it will for Maddison. It really, if I'm honest, because unless, like, there is some improvement with his crossing, with his goal, right? Things like that. He's, I just think he's going to, with his with his taking on and getting past the defender. I think, I can only see him kind of dropping to the bench, if I'm honest. So really, he's got a lot to prove this season,
Craig, let's come to you. After 14 minutes, Spurs went 1-0 up. Yves Bissouma, what a rocket and what a way to come back into this Tottenham Hotspur team, of course, with that balloon incident. And then, of course, Ange Postecoglou and the Tottenham Hotspur staff suspended him for the Leicester game. Of course, he's walked straight back in because of Bentancur's injury and concussion. But what a way to return in a Spurs shirt.
Yeah, it was absolutely fantastic. Cracking finish. Took the net off, really. Celebrated to the fans, didn't he? And almost held his hands up to say, I'm sorry. And then I didn't see it, but I think somebody said he went to Ange and gave him a cuddle as well.
He did. And it's out on this channel. Check it out.
Right. Okay. I haven't had time to watch that yet, so I'll watch that in a bit. But it was just great to see. And he repaid the faith Ange saw in him, because he didn't need to start Bissouma today. He had Gray that could have started in there, even Bergvall, Sarr, we've got options in there. But for Ange to trust in him, because I wasn't sure, listening to the press conference yesterday, I still wasn't sure when he said bridges were still there to be made. I can't remember the exact expression he used, but, big bridge building, I think was the thing he said. It wouldn't have surprised me at all to see him on the bench, but not start. And he's obviously gone with him, and he's repaid that faith that Ange had in him. And he was just superb, as a comment says there from David. This ability to make a tackle is insane. He was everywhere today, covered every blade of grass, put in key tackles, key interceptions. And a great performance. So yeah, fair play to Bissouma. And you'd think that's him back in the team now, certainly against Newcastle, because when he plays like that, when we get that Bissouma, that's the player that we all want.
Well, I've got to admit, I was late on this podcast myself because I was filming Bissouma coming off the pitch. He was the last one to leave the pitch at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Johnny, let's come to you, because Bissouma really enjoyed today. You could see what it meant to him on his face. Absolutely delight, not only scoring the goal, but having a good performance today against Everton. And he really enjoyed that moment against Everton, hugging Ange Postecoglou, as Craig said, when he scored the goal. And right at the end, enjoying the time with the fans.
Absolutely. Look, the off-pitch antics, the fans will always forgive you, Chris, if you come back and you don't down tools and go around with a mopey face on you. Oh, I'm being suspended. Oh, I'm going to kill the morale in the team. And he didn't do that. He seems to, and I would say, Heung-min Son being a very humble person, I'm sure he put an arm around Bissouma and just had a few words with him to say, look, as a captain here, you also need to, be very careful what you do off the pitch. And he did. And he came back and he scored. What a goal! And I'm looking forward to seeing your footage, Chris, of staying on the pitch, the last player. But that's what we expected of him when he came here the first time. And he started very well and then kind of faded away But look, this can give him a lift. This gives players a lift. And maybe that was his moment. Maybe he did need to do something like that to get a right kicking up the backside, you know. And some players react positively to that. Other players react negatively. And I think with Bissouma, he's act positively. But he's a great player. We know he has the talent and the ability. He fits right into the way of Spurs playing. And you know, I don't want to get carried away. There's a lot of comments coming in. Oh, it's only Everton, and I understand that. I'm not getting carried away. I know it's Everton, and things in the Premier League can change very quickly overnight. We've seen how that can happen. So we'll enjoy this moment, and if they can prepare themselves for the next game. But I think Bissouma will be in the squad, in the starting 11, I would imagine, for the next game.
Kim, it feels different on this podcast, and it feels different here at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium today. We've just won 4-0. And normally when we win a game in the Premier League 4-0, everyone is really lifted. Everyone is in such a good mood. It doesn't feel like it should. Why do you think that is? Or is
I
it
think some of it will be because of Monday evening, because of the second half performance there. I mean, you know, the way we was all over him in the first half, and then sort of like, you know, we were like scared of him in the second half. It was a bit ridiculous, really. So I think that's a lot of it. Obviously, I think, you know, had the weather been a bit brighter, and we was probably playing a club that was expected to do a bit better than perhaps Everton are this season, and had a fully fit squad. You know, if we'd have had, say, Newcastle at home today, it might have been, you know, a different kind of atmosphere. But I think, like the other night, that, you know, that was 2 points chucked away, and you know, it was only so many days ago. The fans haven't forgotten that. I think everybody was so like looking forward to the start of the season, and that it just sort of puts the brakes on it, as if don't bother getting carried away just yet, doesn't it? You know, and yeah, I'm sure, like, you know, if we beat Arsenal 4-0 in a couple of weeks, I'm sure you'll see a different atmosphere.
Kim, let's stay with you. After 25 minutes, Spurs got our second goal. Heung-min Son was on the score sheet. Now, excellent pressing from the Tottenham Hotspur captain, going over from the left to the centre and closing down Jordan Pickford, and then literally tapping home. A fantastic bit of performance from Heung-min Son, closing the goalkeeper down. That is exactly what Ange Ball is all around and about. And that's exactly why we brought in Dominic Solanke up top as well. You know, so looking forward to seeing him here at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, of course, out injured today. But Sonny on the score sheet for his first goal in the first half. All about the closing down. That is exactly what Ange Postecoglou constantly demands from his side. The pressing, that work rate. Were you impressed by that today?
Yeah. I'm always impressed by Sonny, and that is going back to what Johnny said. I think that the back four, when we were talking about goals coming from all over the pitch, I can see that back four getting between them like near on 20 goals this season or something, because we've just got players in that position that can also score. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, I was always impressed with Sonny. I'm impressed with the second goal as well. Yeah, he did great. You know, he did good, and he's a great captain for us to have. And yeah, what do you say about the man? He's a Spurs legend.
It's a weird one, because in the last 24 hours of BBC Sport, Heung-min Son said he doesn't see himself as a club legend.
I know.
He wants to win a trophy first.
Something. I know. Yeah, madness.
Craig, let's come to you and stay on the subject of Heung-min Son, because, of course, in the 25th minute, he doubled Tottenham's lead 2-0. It was great pressing from Heung-min Son. That is what Ange Postecoglou expects, though, isn't it?
He is, and the speed he covered the ground at to get to that ball, it was sensational. You know, I was watching last week, and there was a couple of people saying Son's lost a yard of pace, and it did look like that. But the speed he got to that ball, as soon as Jordan Pickford just knocked it out of his feet, you could see he was going to get to it. I honestly, you know, that can go one or two ways. A block tackle, it could go anywhere, but he actually nicked it off his feet. Managed to stay on his feet and then just slot it home. I was more concerned he was going to miss it, because it was only about a yard inside the post. So that would have probably been miss of the century had he not put that in, because he didn't have his full balance at the time. But yeah, great pressing, and that is what comes from this system. Yeah, perhaps a year ago that wouldn't have happened, because they don't do it naturally. The players are starting to do this naturally, and that's what Ange wants, and that's what he's always said. He doesn't want to tell them to be somewhere. When they get it, is when this sort of thing works. And, if we do that this season, whether it be Solanke up there, Son, Richarlison, whatever, you're going to get a couple of goals from that pressing like that, whether it be shutting the keeper down, shutting the defender down. So yeah, that was absolutely brilliant to see. Really pleased for Sonny as well, getting that goal. Unusually, of course, we were kicking towards the south stand in the first half, because we usually in the second half, so we obviously lost the toss, well, I can't believe that we didn't, because we always kick towards the south stand in the second half if we can. So yeah, great to see him score, double the lead. What really pleased me was to dominate the first half and get a few goals up, because we've been there so many times when you had 1 goal lead and then we fall off in the second half. Of course, didn't happen today. And look, not getting carried away, as somebody said, it was just Everton. And when I say that, it was a really understrength Everton with 14 fit players. I'm not saying Everton are a bad side or anything like that, but they weren't at full strength. So, that was a game I expected us to win today, and we did. So onwards and upwards, big couple of games coming up, and I think then and only then we can see where we are.
Yeah, well said, Craig. I don't think any of us mean any disrespect to Everton, but they do have a lot of injury issues at the moment. Johnny, let's come to you. In the 38th minute, Pedro Porro crossed from the right-hand side all the way to the back post. Odobert heading over. Ange Postecoglou in the press conference has just said he is excited. He gives us something different from our other wingers. He said that also in the pre-match conference on Friday. How much game time do you think Odobert will get compared to the likes of Timo Werner now?
Yeah, I mean, Timo Werner didn't start the last game. I'm not too sure that, Ange Postecoglou really kind of feels that Timo Werner is really what he wants there. He definitely is a very fast player and can move down the wing and cross the ball in, but his finishing isn't good. So I think Odobert has a very good chance now of reclaiming that spot, and I think he's going to be in the starting 11 all the time. As the games go on through the season, as long as he doesn't get injured. I mean, yourself, it's the most physical league in the world, the Premier League, and I think it's quite a shock to the system, to many of the players that aren't homegrown here and are used to growing up in the different leagues in the English divisions. And so when they come over here, it's not like they don't get the space like the freedom they get in Spain and in Italy. So when they come here, it's a big shock. So I think players, I think Odebert's going to, I think if Ange brought him in, he's what Ange wants. Ange knows what he wants to do. He wants to build something, a team that will fulfill his dreams and his ambitions. And I think that's what he's building at the moment. So right now in 2024, in August, we're witnessing Spurs being revolutionized. It's a whole new thing for us. And so it's quite exciting because I don't know what to expect. Whereas in the past, we had Mourinho and Antonio Conte, and we know the style of football they play. And it's just he's built those players coming from the academy. I think things are looking really good, and as I said at the beginning, there's a lot of 18-year-old players coming into the team now, and that can only be good for the future. What better way to learn how to play in the Premier League than coming in at 17 or 18? I mean, it's a fantastic learning experience. But Odobert is one for the present, and he's one for the future.
Kim, let's come to you. At half-time, of course, it was 2-0. In the 48th minute, James Maddison with a chance couldn't quite connect after a ball over the top. 3 minutes later, Johnson crossed, but the cross was blocked. In the 58th minute, Tottenham were forced into a save, or Vicario was forced into a save after a number of passes across the back line, including Vicario. I think we've mentioned this on the podcast in recent years, certainly under Hugo Lloris, where we keep playing that ball across the back and we seem to get in trouble. It resulted in Everton having a shot and Vicario saving. How does Ange Postecoglou delete that from our game going forward? Because defensively, when you look on paper, Van de Ven, Romero at the back, two extremely capable, excellent defenders. We've got two wing backs or two full backs that surge forward. Do you worry about that defensive side of our game, particularly in games like this where we were completely in control?
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned this, Chris, because I saw a lot of it pre-season with us, and even Monday night, and obviously today. But I mean, you've got to go back to the old days, like of Graham Roberts and things like that. When in doubt, oof it out, because that to me, I know it's lovely to play this fancy football out from the back, but sometimes, I would just, you've just got to boot it up the pitch like the old days, I'm afraid, because if we don't, like when we are in a bit of trouble or getting in a bit of trouble there, or I can just see us conceding quite a lot of goals from that sort of those mistakes at the back this season. We don't look overly confident with it. We didn't in pre-season with some of the playing out from the back, and I just think sometimes we just got to put not so much oof it out, but we just got to put in a long. We've got to clear it. You just got to clear your lines at times, And I can see. I mean, we're not going to get away with that kind of faffing about at the back. We do it a lot now, and it's weird because like it's good to see in a way, because obviously I watch the under-21s, the under-18s, they're all playing the same way, so it's like going throughout the club, which is great in a way. But even I've seen the under-21s like getting a bit of trouble with it, but the first team, we've got to stamp that out in a way, because what you don't want is to be conceding silly goals from back passes. That's the one thing. And as you said, we've got brilliant defenders there. We've just got to clear our lines when it's a bit on top, especially against some of the trickier teams. I think, especially if you're not a couple of 3 goals up, you can't really play like that. So,
Craig, let's come to you in the 66th minute. James Maddison had a shot blocked. What did you make of his performance today?
I thought he was good. He's getting back to his best. There was glimpses of the old Maddison. Like I say, I thought he was busy. He made some mistakes, but that's what you get from a player in that position. And James Maddison, he tends to play the riskier pass, if you like, and they're not all going to come off. I thought he looked sharper than he has done, certainly at the back end of last season. Just a shame that free kick didn't go in the second half. I thought that had a chance, but it turns out it was a fair bit wide. There was a couple of times when he could have got shot off, but there was one, I remember one of them, it just wouldn't fall to him. It just wouldn't come down. But on the whole, I thought Maddison played well again. I thought he played well against Leicester as well. If he carries on that trajectory, I think we're going to have the old Maddison back. The Maddison from the first 10 games last season, which of course can only be good for the team. You want to see him putting those balls through to the likes of Odobert and Son and Solanke, obviously, when he's playing. And you can see that's coming back. He's starting to control the game, demanding the ball off the defenders, dropping deep, playing long balls. That was what actually pleased me today, not just Maddison. We did seem to have a bit of a plan B today. We were going long on a couple of occasions, and those long balls were working. There was a lovely one from Romero across the pitch to Odobert, and then Van der Ven played one down the line. So there was a bit of a mixture of passes today, which was really good to see, because in the past, it seems like we wanted to pass teams through the middle, and it wasn't always working, but it was great. We were just cutting out the midfield, and there's nothing wrong with that, If the players are making the runs, why not? I'm all for that.
After 67 minutes, Ange Postecoglou made a double change. Odobert and Kulusevski coming off, and Sarr and Richarlison coming on. A minute later, Maddison had a free kick that went just wide. And then in the 71st minute, Spurs went 3-0 up. A fantastic header from Christian Romero off the inside of the crossbar and in, after a fantastic delivery from the corner from James Maddison. Johnny, talk us through this goal. What a great finish it was.
Oh, it's just, look, it's just fantastic. James Maddison, you mentioned James. I mean, he really is just, I think maybe lost a little bit of confidence when he wasn't chosen to play for England in the European Championships. I think that's possibly what happened there. And he didn't start the second half well in the Leicester game, but he has certainly really picked things up. And as long as he keeps playing in the way he normally does, and that means attacking, but he's improved defensively as well, Chris. In the game today, he was dropping back, trying to help out the defenders too. Didn't see much of that in the first game, but he's definitely improved that. So that must have been something that Postecoglou noticed, and the coaches noticed that he wasn't doing enough. So he's really lifted his performances, and we need players like him to be able to shoot from distance. I see in some of the comments there, some of the people are saying that Ange Postecoglou doesn't like players shooting from distance. That's not the way he has to play. But I still think you have to do that. And Maddison has that ability just to fire one from 25 yards when you don't expect it. And you need opportunist type players who can do that. And Spurs have always been known down through the years, David Ginola, all these players that can do stuff like that. And I think James Maddison has that type of ability. And I hope we haven't seen the best of him yet. I hope he keeps improving, because we need him, on firing on all cylinders to have a really good season. The worst we can hope for, we don't want him to get injured or to be out or to lose confidence. So as long as he's able to do that. But that goal was absolutely superb, Chris. There's no doubt about it. And all the goals were great today. But my favourite goal was Bissouma. I'd say that was my favourite one.
Kim, let's come to you. Where Johnny says there about the players shooting from range, Ange Postecoglou in one of the press conferences last season said, he doesn't tell the players not to shoot from range. But I think that was one criticism by a lot of Spurs fans on Monday evening. It seemed that we were just trying to walk the ball in, score the perfect goal. But sometimes you have to shoot from range. Bissouma showed that today.
Yeah, we've been doing that for a while, trying to walk the ball in, and it is frustrating. We was doing it last season, we was doing it pre-season, and sometimes someone's just got, we have got players there that know where the net is from a distance, so players like Porro and that, and as Johnny said, we've always had those type of players, Gareth Bale, Glenn Hoddle, do you know what I mean? We've always had those type of players that. And yeah, if someone, you don't want someone blasting it 20 foot over the bar, but sometimes you've got to have a crack. It could come, it could be a rebound and then tapped in. If you feel you can score, you've got to have a go. Sometimes it does annoy me sometimes when they're trying to walk, that they go sideways a lot, and then when we do get in that last quarter of the pitch, like they're trying to walk the ball into the net, and sometimes someone's got to take the ball by the horns, I think, and have the occasional shot. We've definitely got the players there capable of doing it.
Kim, let's stay with you. After 73 minutes, Bissouma and Udogie went off. Gray and Spence come on. Are you pleasantly surprised that the likes of Jed Spence have been given an opportunity under Ange Postecoglou and getting minutes now in the Premier League?
Yeah, I was really surprised when I saw him in pre-season. Like, he was really good, Not saying I thought he was a bad player, but obviously he was out of favour. But no, I think he was great in the couple, especially the first friendly I saw him in. He really took the ball by the horns, and good luck to the lad, But yeah, I think give it a chance. It could be. I'm glad he's sort of, rather than bringing in another player in his position, I think like with his pre-season performances and that, he's obviously been working hard, I should imagine, behind the scenes. I think he deserves the opportunity to, I'm not saying he'll start, but to be on the bench and to come on and to show what he can do. He's certainly got some skills about him.
Craig, let's come to you. Now, Tottenham's fourth goal came in the 77th minute. Now, what a fantastic run from centre-back Mickey van der Ven. I tell you what, the Spurs crowd here at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium today absolutely loved his performance. What an assist for Heung-min Son. Of course, great finish again from Heung-min Son, rounding things up. But what worked from the centre-back?
Yeah, it was. It would have been candidate for goal of the season had he had a shot and it gone in. I swear to God, because he just kept going and going and going. It was a bit like Heung-min Son against Burnley a few years ago. But the pace, you just can't catch him when he opens his legs up and he goes. Nobody's going to catch him. You've got to bring him down. And it was just a shame that it didn't open up for him to have a crack, because if he just let go from the edge of the box there and it had gone in, wow, that would have been sensational. But he done the right thing in many ways. He passed to Sonny, and obviously that move we've seen 1,000 times: step over, outside left foot, finish through Pickford's legs. So So yeah, but Van der Beek, my sons are excited because they've both got both of those players in their FPL team. So Van der Beek gets the assist, and obviously Son gets the goal. My team didn't do as well this week, but there you go. I'm bottom of the league, so there you go. Must be an age thing, but yeah, Van der Beek absolutely outstanding today.
Johnny, from what you've seen now from the opening 2 games of our Premier League season, what are your expectations as a Spurs fan?
My expectations are for us to win some silverware, Chris. It's long overdue. In fact, a lot of I know a lot of the comments coming in. Paddy Hartnett, a regular contributor, we really appreciate people texting. We're not always going to agree on the things, but I think a silverware, FA Cup, or the League Cup, something like that. I think the fans will be so happy, and a top 4 finish. I know Ange doesn't like talking about top 4 and stuff like that and focusing on that. He just wants to do the best they can. But I think he's just trying to take the pressure off. I think top 4. This team is capable of finishing the top 4 and winning a little bit of silverware. And I think over the last couple of seasons, we've gone out on penalties in some of the cups, on a Monday night up in Middlesbrough or wherever. We just lose all these games. Like, we should really be winning these, getting into semi-final, getting to Wembley, and then get into the final. And give it loads. The fans will lift the team. But that's what we need to do. We need to win a trophy, FA Cup or Carling Cup or whatever it's called now. And then we need to finish in the top 4. I don't think 5th or 6th or 7th is going to be good enough, Chris. I think the fans expect more. I think this team has the potential to finish in 4th. Maybe not 2nd or 3rd. Liverpool are looking good. Arsenal looking good. Manchester City, as we saw today, went 1-0 down against Ipswich, and then within 4 minutes, they scored 3 goals. We're not at that level at the moment, but the whole idea of this thing that Ange is creating is that we try and reach that level. And I think we're on the right path. We've been here before. I'm not getting carried away. I know the comments are all people saying, don't get carried away. Johnny's getting carried away. It's only the 2nd game of the season. But you have to dream and you have to hope. And there's always hope. And it's a 4-0 win today. We didn't concede a goal. We didn't concede any goals. That's something we've been doing in a lot of games, particularly at this ground over the last 15 games of last season. We conceded in 15 games at home. That's not good enough. So we didn't concede. We haven't conceded at home yet. I know it's only 1 game. So fingers crossed, but trophy, top 4 finish, Chris.
Kim, let's come to you. Let's talk a little bit about the transfer window because, of course, Manor Solomon is signing for Leeds United on loan for the rest of this season. Ashley Phillips has just signed for Stoke City on loan for the rest of the season. There's only 6 days left of this transfer window. What have you made of our transfer window so far, and what would you like to see happen in terms of incomings and outgoings in the next 6 days?
I'm reasonably happy with our signings. I mean, I think Burville's going to go on to be a superstar. I think he's really that good. Gray's a great acquisition as well. I mean, I think he's going to go on to do great things. But I think Burville's going to be the type of player with the skills he's got that he's going to go down as a real Tottenham kind of player. Do you know? Solanke, I watched him a few times last year, when he was playing for Bowe, and I was really, really impressed with him. It's a shame, I think, he couldn't have, he got injured for today, because I think it's always good for a new signing. It would have been the kind of game where he could have got a goal and and like to bring confidence to him. But I'm reasonably happy with the players that we've brought in. As for transfer targets, I agree with Johnny, if I'm honest. I think you've got to look at it. I mean, the fact that Solanke's got injured first game, okay, Andrew's come out and said it's not a bad injury and he hopefully might be back next week and that. But if he does get injured and he is out for a couple of months, who have we got? Well, I mean, as I've said, I think the likes of, Lancashire and Mikey Moore could do a job even now. Whether they're ready to start or come off the bench, I don't know. But I do think we need cover there. I mean, we've let Vellas has gone on loan, hasn't he? abroad somewhere, and I do think we need somebody there. I mean, I'm surprised really. I know, I know we haven't seen a lot of him, but Vélez, when I saw him play, he came on, he got a goal that time, didn't he? You know, he was quite a big lump up front to sort of have there, and I was surprised they let him go. But I would like to see another centre forward come in and a creative midfielder. I think we need one more creative midfielder. I think sometimes we're just going sideways too much. If Maddison's not on the game, I think sometimes we need that creativity. So, I mean, obviously we've got the new winger perhaps to bring us a bit of that, but I think centre, like someone in the centre of mid to bring that bit of creativity to sort of, you know, get us forward and pass, you know, just sort of weave the balls through to, you know, and that type of thing. So they're the two. I think we're all right. I've seen a lot of people saying, you know, I think, was it left back, left wing back that we need cover? I'm not so sure. I'd rather go for them other two positions if we're going to go for anything.
Craig, let's come to you. Of course, our next Premier League game takes place next Sunday away at Newcastle at St James's Park. The last couple of meetings at Newcastle have been an absolute disaster, losing 4-0 and losing 6-1 in the 2022-2023 season. Newcastle so far this season have played one game, beating Southampton 1-0 at St James's Park on the opening weekend of the season. How are you feeling ahead of this game, you know, especially after what you've seen in these opening two games that Spurs have played?
Look, I'm always going to be a bit nervous about the Newcastle away fixture purely because of the results you've said there. The last 2 years have not been happy hunting grounds at all. But I think this season we're probably in a better place than we were the last two. I think we was all expecting a bit more last season, but didn't come to fruition. I think the squad's a lot stronger and in a better place than it was, and I don't expect that to be that sort of scoreline at all. It's kind of two freak results in many ways. So I think there's going to be a more tighter game this year at St James's Park. It's always been a cliche. It's always been a tough place to go. But you know, remember when Newcastle took over, we was the first team to play, and we thought that, you know, that's typical, isn't it? And they scored first. I think Callum Wilson scored, but I think we won that game 2-1 in the end. I've been 3-1, but I think we're just in a better place. The squad looks more rounded. I think we've got more quality there, so I would be expecting a different result. But at the end of the day, you just can't tell. You just can't tell with Tottenham. Newcastle will be a hard-fought game, as Chris Powell says there. I would personally take a draw up there now if you offered it to me. Obviously hoping for a win, but I would definitely take a draw up there, Chris.
Johnny, how are you feeling ahead of this game against Newcastle?
Yeah, like Craig said, last couple of times we played them, just every time those games were being played, the morale was low in the team. We'd probably been on a losing streak leading into the game, and it just seemed to be that kind of way, you know. And unfortunately, every time we've played them in the last few seasons, they've just been playing so well going into the game, and our confidence has been low. So I think this time, this is a different. I know it's at St James's Park, so it's going to be. I think we're going in with a bit more confidence. I fancy a win. I fancy we could take them or draw. Look, if we get a draw 2-2, there'll be a lot of goals. This is a game that always produces, like Everton, it always produces lots of goals. And I think it'll be a goal fest again. It could be a 3-2, could be a 2-2, could be a 3-3, could be something like that. And I think both teams will go for it, because that's the type of style they have. But Newcastle are a very physical side, Chris, and they're the teams that we struggle with, especially with the crosses, the corners, and they're getting up with the head, getting over our players, and then they get a bit of confidence after 6 minutes and they score first, and then we're under pressure away from home. We have to start well in these games and get off to a good start and put the opposition under pressure for a change instead of us being put under pressure. But look how we started the game today. Absolutely incredible. I know the comments are saying, you know, it's only Everton. They lost the first game 3-0, I think, to Brighton, and now they've lost 4-0. I get that, but Sean Dyche is a good manager. I think they'll stay up. I think he'll get them playing well, but it'll take a bit of time. They might be beaten a few times before that happens. But in terms of us, I think we can go to Newcastle and win 2-1 or even get a draw. but I don't want to lose that game, because then, you know, it's like we've seen in the past. We have to match these teams. If we want to finish in the top 4, you got to win this game at Newcastle. Because if we lose this game and then we're going into Arsenal or whatever, you know, we're going on a poor streak, and I don't want to get into that. We have to stay confident and get stuck into them and really put them under pressure. And once we go 1-0 up, I know they've the home fans there who'll give them a lift, but we can still do it. They played really well today. I saw lots of positives, you know, I have to say. And it's a great feeling to go in on a Saturday evening now and knowing that they're playing well, and you can watch Match of the Day feeling good. So hopefully it continues, Chris.
Craig, I'm going to come to you first to get score prediction, because I know you're going out. So, score prediction for Newcastle Spurs next Sunday.
I'm going to go for a 1-1. I think it's going to be a tighter game. I'd love to say Tottenham win, but I'm going to go with what my head says rather than the heart. So I'm going to think it's going to be 1-1. I think it's going to be a lot closer game, like I say. Obviously hoping for a win, but yeah, 1-1 or 2-2. Can I just say draw? Because I'm not sure. As Johnny said, these are high-scoring games. So 1-1 or 2-2. Yeah.
Well, Craig, thank you so much for joining us today. Absolute pleasure to have you back on the channel, and thank you so much for hosting the podcast on Monday evening against Leicester. A lot of very good comments for you, so thank you so much for all of your help. Now, before we get score predictions from Johnny and Kim, we're just going to hear from the former Newcastle striker Mick Quinn, getting his thoughts ahead of the game on Sunday. Of course, he scored 57 goals at St James's Park in 110 league appearances for the Magpies.
Hi Chris, former Newcastle United centre forward Mick Quinn, and I'm in a hotel room in Newcastle, would you believe it, tonight, leaving you this message. Now I know you want thoughts on both teams, Newcastle and Spurs, for the forthcoming game coming up the weekend. Newcastle, first of all, haven't signed any players. They're after Gueye from Crystal Palace, good player. They are messing around with the price, 50 million, 55, 60. Just paid him 70 million. Get him signed and get him on the books. But that could be in the future. Spurs, well, I thought this season they could improve, obviously, on last year. You know, new manager coming in, trying to find his feet. You know, Maddison's a key player all the time. And Dominic Solanke, they signed for 65 million. Is he worth that? I don't think so. But if he gets you 20 goals this year, you're going to be in top 4. If he gets you 20 goals, you're going to be in the top 4. Piercing Newcastle, not in Europe. They're going to be fresh. And I think they've got a chance of getting in top 4, top 6 again, because they're not playing that shitty Europa League. Sorry about the language. But it's a chore every Thursday, flying all around Europe, Eastern Bloc countries, everything. It's a nightmare. My favourite memory is going back to Newcastle. It's got to be my debut against Leeds United. I got 4 on my debut with the number 9 on my back, and there was a bit of a boycott at the time. The fans were boycotting just being relegated from Division 1 to Division 2. I was at Portsmouth down the south coast. They didn't know who I was in the northeast, and I got 4 my debut, told you, number 9, and 39 goals that season, winning the Golden Boot. Shoved it up. A few backsides there who wrote me off. Score prediction for the weekend, I'm going to go 1-1 or 2-2. The worrying thing for me about Spurs is that the Leicester game, they were so in control. They were so attacking. They should have wrapped it up at half-time. And yet they let Leicester back in, and then they were on the back foot, and they were struggling for after that. So I'm hoping they can sort it out. I know they're going to play attacking football. I know eventually they're going to sort it out. Let's see what happens. Cheers, Chris. By the way, I've had a few drinks. I'm in Newcastle. It'd be rude not to. See you, kid.
Kim, Craig has gone for a draw. Mick Quinn has gone for a draw. What are you going for?
I think we'll win up there. I think we need to win up there, and I think we'll win up there. I'm going to be positive for once, and you know I'm not always, Chris, because I'm going to win up there. I reckon. I would say 3-2 or 4-2 would be my prediction. I think it's our year to win up there. As Johnny said, I mean, we don't win up there. And then, we've got Arsenal. We've got to win up there. We've got to. So, lads, if any of you are watching this, you've got to win.
Johnny, lastly, let's get a score prediction for you. This is going to be a difficult game, isn't it?
It's going to be a difficult game. I'm feeling a little bit more. It depends on how they do against Bournemouth tomorrow. If they hammer Bournemouth 3-0 or 4-0, they're going to be going in very confident against us at their ground. So tomorrow's game plays a little bit. I'm going to go with 2-1 to us. I'm going to go with a 2-1, and I'm going to go with Son to score because he's going to be in good form now. Bissouma must start. Maybe Bissouma gets the other goal. Come on, you Spurs!
Wow, positive end to the podcast. Johnny, thank you so much for joining us. Have a great holiday and time away in Portugal. Where can people find you on social media, and what are you up to at the moment, work-wise?
Well, you can find me on X now. It's Johnny Bowe 1, and I'm back on the radio. Well, I'm off for another couple of days. I'm back on the radio on Q102 in Dublin on Saturday at 11 a.m.
Johnny, thank you so much. And Craig, you're still with us. You haven't gone out yet for your Chinese. You're on mute as well.
Oh, look, totally unprofessional. Yeah, no, I'm going down the pub, so I've got to go. Beer is calling, but thanks for having me on, Chris. If you want to follow me at Dearman9 on X, that'd be lovely. Thanks for all the support during the week. That was a tough one to do in many ways because we were drawing. Well, we drew and didn't get the win, but there you go. I'm sure I'll be on one and hosting one when we win. So thanks a lot, Chris. See everyone again soon. Come on, you Spurs.
Thank you, Craig. And Kim, thank you so much for coming back. It was a pleasure to be at your book launch a couple of months ago. So thank you so much for the invite. Really enjoyed it. And tell everyone how they can buy your book. How is it all going?
Yes, my paperback's just come out. It's in all the supermarkets everywhere at the moment. So you can find it at any major supermarkets and bookstores. It's called The Brothers. And it's the... I'm just writing the next in the series of it, actually, Essex Wives. I'm going to be getting me pen and pad out as soon as we finish here, Chris. And I'll multitask with the football on in the background. I mean, that's the only thing I can multitask with, the football. So, yeah, I'm there. It's called the Brothers, and it's out in the shops now. And you can find me on Kimberley Chambers on Facebook, Kimberley.Chambers on Instagram, and at Kimbo Chambers on X. So you can find me on there. I did laugh at Mick when he said about, I've just got to say, when he said about, thinks they'll finish fourth because of the, they're not in that shitty competition. Well, we weren't in that shitty competition and we never finished fourth.
It's going to be an interesting season, I tell you, but I've really enjoyed today and this podcast. So thank you to Craig. Kim, thank you. And Johnny, thank you so much for your time this evening. Always good talking about a win. We will be back, of course, midweek to preview the Newcastle game properly. And, of course, we'll be back at St James's Park on Sunday, where hopefully we will be talking about another win. Let's hope that Spurs can stay in the top four. We've got 6 days left of the transfer window, so let's see what business gets done in terms of incomings and outgoings. It's going to be an interesting season, as I've said. Thanks for watching, everyone. Thanks for listening. And before I do go, I would just like to say a big thank you to everybody listening to this podcast on audio platforms, because we have been in the top 10 in 6 countries this week: South Korea, Finland, Norway, the Netherlands, South Africa and Thailand. It always amazes me, the support on the podcast, either on YouTube or audio version. So thank you so much for all of your incredible support. We will see you on the next one. Until then, come on, you Spurs.